Within the next few moments, you will understand why your spirit has felt restless lately. I did not bring you here by accident. I brought you here because heaven is making a final attempt to reach your heart. Do not ignore this message. I am speaking with urgency because the door that has remained open for you is beginning to close. Hear me now before the silence becomes permanent. You asked me for sign, and this is it. But understand this carefully. Signs are gifts, not guarantees. Many heard my voice before you, yet they lost everything because they waited too long. I have watched you delay, question, and hesitate while pretending everything is fine. But today I will speak plainly. If you walk away from this message, you may walk away from the very thing meant to save you. This is not motivation. This is not coincidence. This is a divine interruption. I am warning you because I still love you, but I will not force you to listen forever. The reason your heart suddenly became heavy before hearing this message is because your spirit already knows this is serious. I am giving you one final moment to respond before everything changes. My beloved child, you have been feeling something lately that you cannot fully explain. Even in moments when you tried to distract yourself, even when you laughed around other people, even when you convinced yourself that everything was normal, there was still a heaviness sitting quietly inside your spirit. There were nights when your mind would not rest. There were moments when silence became uncomfortable because deep inside you knew I was trying to speak. You kept searching for peace in places that could never heal you. You kept telling yourself that tomorrow would be the day you finally changed, the day you finally listened, the day you finally surrendered completely. But tomorrow kept moving further away while your heart slowly grew tired. I watched you carry wounds you never healed from. I watched you hide your fear behind fake strength. I watched you smile while secretly feeling empty inside. And still, even after all your delays, I remain near you. Do you truly understand how many times I protected you when you did not even realize danger was near? There were moments when your life could have completely fallen apart, yet my hand covered you. There were relationships that would have destroyed your future if I had not removed them. There were traps prepared against you that never succeeded because my mercy stood in the way. You thought some closed doors were punishments, but many of them were rescue missions. You cried over people who were never meant to stay. You begged for things that would have broken you if you received them too early. Yet even after all of this, you continued drifting further from me while still expecting my voice to remain loud forever. My child, hear me carefully now because this is serious. The greatest danger is not paying. The greatest danger is becoming so spiritually numb that my voice no longer moves your heart. That is what has been happening slowly within you. Little by little, distraction replaced prayer. Noise replaced stillness. Entertainment replaced intimacy with me. You learned how to survive without truly depending on me, and that frightened heaven more than you realize. Because when a soul becomes comfortable living without my presence, darkness no longer needs to fight hard to destroy it. The enemy knows that a distracted heart eventually becomes a distant heart. That is why your life has felt spiritually dry lately. It is not because I abandoned you. It is because you kept feeding your flesh while starving your spirit. I know the secret battles you never speak about. I know the addictions, the compromises, the hidden fears, the bitterness, the exhaustion, the jealousy, the anger you keep buried deep inside. I know how many times conviction touched your heart, and you ignored it because changing felt uncomfortable. I know how many times you said, later, but my child, later is not promised to anyone. You still believe there will always be another opportunity to return fully to me. But many souls believe the same thing before losing themselves completely. Time is moving faster than you understand. Spiritual doors do not remain open forever. You wonder why your heart suddenly feels shaken hearing these words. It is because your spirit recognizes my voice. Deep down, you know this message is not ordinary. You know I am confronting the parts of you that nobody else sees. And I am doing this because I still love you. If I truly wanted to leave you alone, I would remain silent. The warning itself is proof of my mercy. The conviction you feel right now is proof that I have not abandoned you yet. But do not mistake mercy for permission to continue delaying. There comes a moment when repeated resistance hardens the heart so deeply that a person can sit in front of truth and feel nothing anymore. That is the silence I am warning you about. My beloved child, I never created you to live this disconnected from me. I formed you with purpose before you were even born. There is a calling over your life that the enemy has been trying desperately to bury beneath fear, confusion, shame, and distraction. The battles around you became intense because your future carries weight. Darkness attacks when frenzied, and you have been threatening darkness since the day I breathed life into you. But instead of stepping boldly into your purpose, you allowed fear to convince you that you were unworthy, too broken, too late, or too weak. Those lies kept you chained while years quietly slipped away. Say I'm walking boldly in my calling if you're embracing his assignment. I need you to understand something clearly now. Your biggest battle is no longer external. It is internal. It is the war between obedience and comfort. One part of you wants to fully surrender to me, but another part keeps clinging to old habits, old relationships, old mindsets, and old versions of yourself. You keep asking me to change your life while refusing to release the things poisoning your spirit. But I cannot bless what you continue protecting above me. Some things in your life must die so your soul can finally live again. The restlessness you have been feeling is not anxiety alone. It is spiritual tension. Heaven has been pulling on your spirit because the path you are currently walking cannot continue forever. You feel exhausted because your soul was never designed to carry life without closeness to me. You were created for communion with me. That emptiness inside you cannot be healed by money, relationships, success, attention, or temporary pleasure. It can only be healed by my presence. Yet you keep searching everywhere except the place where true peace exists. Listen to me now. Stop pretending you are fine when your spirit is starving. Stop acting strong while I'm secretly falling apart inside. Stop running from the very thing that can heal you. I am not asking for perfection. I am asking for surrender. I am asking you to finally become honest with me about who you have become and who you are afraid of becoming if you continue down this path. Because the truth is this, you already feel the distance growing. You already feel how difficult it has become to pray sincerely. You already notice how easily distraction controls your attention. These are warning signs, my child. Do not ignore them. I know you are tired. I know you are wounded. I know some people hurt you so deeply that trusting again feels impossible. I know disappointment made you cold in places where your heart once felt alive. But do not allow pain to separate you from me. The enemy wants your wounds to become walls. He wants your disappointment to become rebellion. He wants your delay to become destruction. And that is why I interrupted your life today with this message. Because I refuse to watch you slowly lose yourself without warning you first. There are blessings waiting for you that you cannot even imagine yet. There's peace waiting for you. There is healing waiting for you. There is freedom waiting for you. There is purpose waiting for you. But none of it can be fully received while you continue resisting my voice. Obedience opens doors that fear keeps locked. Surrender releases miracles that pride keeps delayed. And the future I prepared for you still exists. But you must decide whether you truly want it more than your comfort. Do not wait until pain forces you to seek me again. Do not wait until everything collapses before realizing how much you need my presence. Learn from those who waited too long. Learn from those who ignored every warning until heaven became silent. Because when my voice grows quiet, confusion grows louder, fear grows stronger, discernment weakens, darkness becomes easier to tolerate. That is not the future I desire for you. So hear me now, my beloved child. This is your moment to return fully. Not halfway, not emotionally for one night. Completely. Lay down the pride. Lay down the excuses. Lay down the secret sins, the hidden bitterness, the constant delays, and the exhausting pretending. Come back to me with honesty. Come back to me while your heart can still recognize my voice. Come and thank you for being so close, Lord, if He's been your constant companion. Because I am speaking now with love, with urgency, and with mercy. But my child, my voice is a gift, not a guarantee. And this moment standing before you right now may become the turning point you remember for the rest of your life. My beloved child, stop for a moment and listen carefully to me. Do not rush past these words. Do not treat this like another ordinary message that appears for a moment and disappears into the noise of your day. This is not random. This is not coincidence. Before this very day arrived, before you woke up this morning, before your mind became crowded with responsibilities, distractions, worries, and unanswered questions, I already knew this moment would come. I prepared these words specifically for you long before you ever pressed play, long before your eyes ever landed here. Heaven has been watching you closely, and I need you to understand the seriousness of what is happening right now. I am interrupting your routine because your soul has been drifting farther than you realize. I am speaking now because if I remain silent any longer, the distance growing inside your spirit would become dangerous. My child, you keep calling your exhaustion stress, but much of what you are feeling is spiritual emptiness. You keep calling your confusion bad days, but your spirit has been crying out for my presence while you tried to silence it with distractions. You feel restless because deep down you know something is wrong. There is a heaviness inside you that sleep cannot fix. There is a dryness inside you that entertainment cannot remove. There is an ache in your soul that no person can heal. And still, you keep trying to move forward as if everything is normal. But I see beyond the mask you wear in front of others. I see the hidden sadness you bury beneath your smiles. I see the moments when fear grips your thoughts late at night. I see the questions you are too afraid to speak aloud. I see the war happening quietly inside your mind while everyone around you assumes you are fine. That is why I have come to you with urgency today. Not tomorrow. Not later. Now. Because you are standing closer to a spiritual crossroads than you realize. There are moments in life when heaven whispers gently, and there are moments when heaven speaks with urgency because time is running shorter than the person understands. This is one of those moments. You have ignored many warnings before this, You felt conviction and pushed it away. You sensed me pulling on your heart, but you distracted yourself instead of listening. You promised you would change someday, yet someday kept moving further away while your spirit slowly grew weaker. But I am telling you now, my beloved child, you cannot continue living disconnected from me without consequences. A soul cannot survive long without intimacy with its creator. You remember the moments when you suddenly felt emotional for no reason. The moments when tears almost came to your eyes even though you could not explain why. The moments when your chest felt heavy while sitting alone in silence. Those were not accidents. That was me trying to reach your heart. That was my spirit calling you back before the distance became greater. I have been speaking to you through closed doors, through delays, through heartbreaks, through sleepless nights, through disappointment, through the strange emptiness that nothing in this world seems able to satisfy. But instead of slowing down to hear me clearly, you kept running deeper into distraction. You kept filling your life with noise because silence made you uncomfortable. And silence made you uncomfortable because deep inside, your spirit already knew I was waiting there. My child, hear me carefully now because what I am about to say carries eternal weight. My voice is a gift. It is not something to be assumed forever. Many people believe they will always feel conviction, always hear my warnings, always sense my presence calling them back. But that is not true. There comes a point when repeated resistance hardens the heart. There comes a point when a person ignores my voice so often that eventually they no longer recognize it clearly anymore. That is the silence I am warning you about. Not because I stop being God, not because I stop loving, but because people can become so spiritually numb that they no longer respond even when heaven speaks directly to them. And my child, I do not want that to happen to you. You have no idea how many times my mercy protected you while you continued drifting away from me. There were moments when destruction almost entered your life, yet I stood in the way. There were relationships that could have ruined your future, but I removed them before they fully destroyed you. There were hidden dangers surrounding you that you never even saw because my hand covered you. Even now, you are more protected than you realize. But protection should lead a soul closer to me, not further away. Mercy should awaken gratitude, not complacency. Yet you slowly became comfortable receiving my blessings while neglecting my presence. I know this message feels heavy, but it needs to feel heavy because your situation is serious. Your spirit had been falling asleep while your flesh became louder. Distraction became your escape. Temporary pleasure became your comfort. You learned how to survive externally while your inner life quietly deteriorated. And because others still see you functioning, smiling, posting, talking, and continuing daily life, they assume you are spiritually healthy. But I see the truth hidden underneath everything. I see how tired your soul has become. I see how difficult it has become for you to genuinely pray. I see how quickly your attention leaves me now. I see how your hunger for spiritual things weakened while worldly distractions gained stronger control over your mind. My beloved child, this is why I interrupted your ordinary day. Because heaven refuses to watch you slowly destroy yourself without one final warning. This message was not placed in front of you by accident. I arranged this moment intentionally because your spirit needed to hear my voice before the silence growing around you becomes permanent. You still think you have endless time to fully surrender. You still think there will always be another opportunity to return deeply to me later. But later is one of the greatest illusions destroying souls. Later has stolen years from you already. later as delayed obedience, healing, peace, and restoration. Later has become the hiding place for fear, pride, compromise, and spiritual laziness. But I am calling you now. Not when you feel emotionally ready. Not when life becomes easier. Not after you fix yourself first. I am calling you now exactly as you are. Broken, confused, exhausted, distracted, wounded, uncertain. Bring all of it to me. Stop pretending you are stronger than you truly are. Stop acting like your spirit is healthy when you know something inside you has been starving for a long time. Stop pushing away conviction every time it touches your heart. Because the more you resist my voice, the easier it becomes to ignore me next time. And eventually, some people reach a place where they no longer feel conviction at all. They continue living, breathing, smiling, laughing, and functioning while spiritually becoming completely disconnected from me. That is not the future I desire for you. You were created for intimacy with me. Before you were born, I formed purpose over your life. I placed gifts inside your spirit that the enemy has spent years trying to bury beneath shame, distraction, fear, and compromise. The reason spiritual warfare increased around your life is because your future carries significance. Darkness attacks when frenzied, and your obedience threatens darkness more than you understand. That is why the enemy constantly fights for your attention. Because if he can keep you distracted, he can keep you distant. And if he keeps you distant long enough, eventually your spiritual sensitivity begins fading away little by little. My child, this is your wake-up call. This is the moment where you must decide whether you will continue drifting or finally return fully to me. I am not asking for perfection. I am asking for surrender. I am asking you to stop delaying what your spirit already knows must happen. You already know which habits are destroying your peace. You already know which relationships are poisoning your spirit. You already know which compromises are slowly pulling you further away from me. Stop pretending confusion is the problem when disobedience is the real issue. And still, even now, my love for you remains strong. Write your mercy, never let me go if his kindness held you up. Do not mistake this warning as rejection. I am speaking urgently because I still want you close to me. If I had truly abandoned you, I would leave you alone without conviction. The fact that your heart feels shaken right now is proof that my spirit is still reaching for you. The tears forming in your eyes, the heaviness in your chest, the discomfort you feel deep inside, these are signs that heaven is still fighting for your soul. But you must respond while your heart can still hear me clearly. So stop running, my beloved child. Stop numbing your spirit. Stop delaying your return. Let this be the moment everything changes. Let this be the day you stop treating my voice casually. Because my voice is not guaranteed forever. And this message standing before you right now may become the most important warning you ever receive in your entire life. My beloved child, before you tell yourself that I have been silent, before you convince yourself that I abandoned you or forgot your cries, I need you to look back carefully over the journey you have walked. Look beyond the surface of your memories and see the truth you kept missing. I have been speaking to you far more than you realize. My voice has followed you through every season, every heartbreak, every delay, every warning, every restless night, every moment when your spirit suddenly felt uneasy without explanation. There has never been a moment where I completely stopped reaching for you. Even when you wandered far from me, even when you ignored conviction, even when you buried your emotions beneath distractions and temporary pleasures, I continued speaking because my love for you remained greater than your resistance. Do you remember those moments when something inside you suddenly told you not to go a certain direction? The strange discomfort you felt around certain people? The uneasiness that entered your spirit before certain decisions? That was me. I was trying to guide you before pain became your teacher. I whispered caution into your heart many times, but you called it overthinking. You sensed my warning, but because your emotions wanted something different, you silenced the conviction instead of obeying it. Then later, when the consequences arrived, you asked me why the pain happened, forgetting that heaven had already tried to protect you beforehand. I spoke through closed doors that frustrated you. I spoke through opportunities that suddenly disappeared. I spoke through delays that made no sense to your human understanding. There were moments you cried because things did not work out the way you wanted, but you did not realize I was saving you from futures that would have broken your spirit completely. Some people you begged to keep in your life were assignments of destruction disguised as comfort. Some paths you desperately wanted to walk would have led you further away from your purpose. Yet instead of trusting me, you allowed disappointment to turn into bitterness. You accused silence while ignoring the protection hidden inside the delay. My child, I even spoke to you through your pain. Not because I enjoy watching you suffer, but because your heart became harder to reach through gentleness alone. There were seasons when life suddenly became heavy, when confusion increased, when everything around you felt unstable. You thought I was punishing you, but many of those storms were mercy trying to wake you before it became too late. Pain became loud because you stopped listening to whispers. I never wanted suffering to be the thing that forced you back toward me, but your distractions became stronger than your discernment. Your flesh became louder than your spirit. And still, even then, I remained patient with you. How many nights did you lay awake feeling an emptiness you could not explain? How many times did tears fill your eyes while you stared into the darkness, wondering why your soul felt so exhausted? You blamed stress. You blamed people. You blamed circumstances. But deep down, your spirit recognized the truth. You were drifting away from me. The further you moved from intimacy with me, the heavier life became inside you. Because no amount of worldly comfort can replace my presence. I created your soul for communion with me, not for endless distraction. I spoke through dreams you ignored after waking up. I placed warnings inside your spirit that you brushed aside because they made you uncomfortable. I sent people into your life who spoke truth to you, but pride caused you to resist their words. I allowed certain situations to expose what was secretly growing inside your heart. Jealousy, fear, lust, anger, pride, unforgiveness, selfishness, emotional dependence. I revealed these things not to shame you, but to heal you. Yet instead of surrendering them to me, you defended them. You protected wounds that I was trying to heal because pain had become familiar to you. My beloved child, there were moments when my presence came close to you so strongly that you almost surrendered completely. You felt it during certain prayers, during service, during moments when your heart suddenly softened and tears began falling without explanation. Over holy moments, heaven was touching your spirit. I was calling you deeper. But each time conviction began pulling you closer, fear stepped in and pulled you backward again. Fear of a change. Fear of losing certain people. Fear of giving up control. Fear of fully trusting me. You kept standing between surrender and comfort. wanting peace while refusing to release the very things destroying it. I watched you pretend to be okay while quietly breaking inside. I watched you smile around others while your soul carried hidden battles nobody knew about. I watched you seek validation from people while starving for affirmation from me. You kept trying to fill spiritual emptiness with emotional substitutes. Attention, relationship, success, entertainment, temporary pleasure. But every substitute eventually left you emptier because none of those things were designed to carry the weight of your soul. Do you remember how many times you promised me you would change? After the heartbreak, after the panic attack, after the disappointment, after the fear, after the failure, you cried out to me in desperation and said, "Lord, if you help me through this, I will finally surrender completely." And I answered you. I comforted you. I protected you. I carried you through situations that should have destroyed you. But once the pressure lifted, distraction slowly returned and your promises faded again. Yet even after that, I still kept reaching for you. My child, understand this carefully now. Conviction is a gift. The fact that your heart still feels disturbed hearing these words is mercy. Many people no longer feel anything when truth confronts them because they ignored my voice for too long. Their hearts became numb little by little. That numbness did not happen overnight. It happened through repeated compromise, repeated delay, repeated disobedience. Every time they ignored conviction, their sensitivity weakened more. And now some sit in darkness believing they are fine because they no longer recognize how far they drifted. I do not want that to become your story. That is why I interrupted your life again today. Because despite everything, despite your delays, despite your distractions, despite your inconsistency, despite the walls you built around your heart, I still see who you were created to become. I still see purpose buried underneath your exhaustion. I still see light underneath your confusion. I still see the calling that darkness had been trying to suffocate for years. The enemy fought you intensely because your future threatens his kingdom more than you realize. And many of the battles you thought were random were actually attempts to keep you spiritually distracted before you fully awaken to who you truly are in me. But listen carefully now, my beloved child, because this is where the seriousness increases. My warnings are not endless. My voice is not something to casually assume forever. There comes a moment when repeated resistance changes the condition of a person's heart. The more someone ignores me, the easier it becomes to continue ignoring me. The more someone chooses distraction over intimacy, the weaker their spiritual sensitivity becomes. Eventually, people stop recognizing my voice clearly altogether. That silence is terrifying. Not because I stop existing, but because they stop listening. And I am telling you this now because you have been standing dangerously close to that place. You felt it yourself lately. Prayer became harder. Conviction became easier to ignore. Distractions gained stronger control over your attention. Sin stopped bothering you the way it once did. You started normalizing things that once disturbed your spirit deeply. These are warning signs, my child. Your soul has been sending signals that something is wrong, but you kept trying to silence those signals instead of surrendering to me completely. Still, I have not abandoned you. The fact that you are hearing these words right now is proof that heaven is still fighting for your heart. I brought you here intentionally because this moment matters more than you understand. I need you to stop looking at your life through surface-level understanding and recognize the deeper spiritual reality happening around you. Nothing about your recent restlessness has been random. Nothing about your emotional heaviness has been accidental. I have been pulling on your spirit repeatedly because I know what is ahead if you continue drifting without returning fully to me. So please hear me now, my beloved child. Stop calling my warnings coincidence. Stop dismissing conviction as emotion. Stop silencing the discomfort in your spirit with endless distraction. I have been speaking continuously through every season of your life. Through heartbreaks, through delays, through tears, through warnings, through dreams, through closed doors, through exhaustion, through moments when your soul suddenly felt overwhelmed without explanation. I have never stopped reaching for you. But this moment is different. Because this is no longer just an invitation. This is a wake-up call before the silence becomes dangerous. My beloved child, listen carefully to me now, because what I am about to say may shake something deep inside your spirit. I am no longer pleading with you the way I once did. I am no longer whispering gently while you continue pretending not to hear me. I have warned you, reached for you, protected you, and called your name through more seasons than you realize. I have stood beside you while you wandered into places that slowly drained the life from your soul. I have watched you choose temporary comfort over eternal peace again and again. Yet even after all of that, I remain patient with you because my love is greater than your failures. But do not misunderstand my patience. Do not mistake my mercy for weakness, and do not confuse my kindness with endless tolerance. Many people believe that because I do not immediately judge them, I approve of the direction they are walking. They continue ignoring conviction while assuming there will always be another opportunity to return later. They believe my silence during certain seasons means I am unconcerned about their choices. But my child, there is a dangerous misunderstanding growing in many hearts. Mercy was never meant to become permission for rebellion. Grace was never designed to encourage disobedience. My patience exists to lead souls back to me, not to give them confidence to continue drifting further away. You must understand something very important now. Every time I warned you, and you ignored me, something slowly changed inside your heart. Every time conviction touched your spirit and you resisted it, your sensitivity weakened a little more. Every time you justified compromise instead of surrendering it, your discernment became slightly duller. This is how hearts grow hard over time. Not suddenly, not in one moment, but little by little through repeated resistance. One ignored warning becomes easier to ignore the next time. One compromise opens the door for another compromise. One delayed act of obedience creates a pattern of spiritual hesitation. Until eventually, many people wake up one day unable to clearly recognize my voice anymore. That is the silence I have been warning you about. My child, I need you to hear me with complete honesty now. You have spent too much time assuming your heart would always remain soft toward me no matter how long you delayed surrender. But hearts do not stay tender automatically. The heart must remain close to me to stay spiritually alive. Distance changes people. Repeated compromise changes people. Constant distraction changes people. Sin changes people. Pride changes people. Fear changes people. And if these things remain long enough without repentance, they begin reshaping the soul itself. I have watched this happen in many lives. People who once cried during prayer eventually became unmoved by truth. People who once felt deep conviction eventually learned how to silence it quickly. People who once desired holiness slowly became comfortable with darkness because repeated disobedience normalized what once disturbed them. At first, compromise feels uncomfortable, but over time, the heart adapts to what it repeatedly entertains. This is why I kept warning you, because I could already see where your path would eventually lead if nothing changed. You wondered why your spirit felt restless lately. It is because part of you still recognizes my voice while another part of you keeps resisting it. There is a war happening inside you between surrender and self-will, between obedience and comfort, between truth and excuses. And the longer this battle continues without full surrender, the more exhausting life becomes inside your soul. Because no person can experience true peace while continuously fighting against my conviction. Type "My foundation is Christ alone" if He's the rock you build on. And share this video. My beloved child, before this message ends, something hidden from you for years will finally be exposed. They tried to bury your name in silence, but tonight I am pulling you into the light. Do not scroll away from this moment. Do not treat this as another ordinary message passing before your eyes. I brought you here intentionally because heaven has decided that your season of confusion, rejection, and hidden pain cannot continue any longer. I know how many nights you sat alone wondering why everything became so quiet around you. I saw the moments when you questioned your worth because doors kept closing, people kept leaving, and opportunities kept disappearing before your eyes. But listen carefully now, because what looked like abandonment was actually protection. What looked like delay was my hand preserving your future from people who secretly wanted access to your destiny without honoring your heart. You thought I forgot about you, but I was standing between you and battles you never even knew existed. While you were crying in silence, I was fighting in secret places. While you were asking why life became so heavy, I was removing traps that would have destroyed you before your appointed time arrived. Tonight, I am opening your eyes to the truth. You were never ignored. You were hidden under my covering while I prepared a public reversal that nobody saw coming. My child, what they thought was your ending is about to become the proof of my power. I broke every chain around your destiny before you even pressed play on this message. The people who underestimated you only saw your struggle, but they never saw my hand resting upon your life. They saw you delayed, but they did not see me preparing. They saw you isolated, but they did not understand I was separating you from voices that would poison your spirit. Some people smiled in front of you while secretly hoping you would fail. Some prayed for your downfall while pretending to support your journey. But I heard every conversation spoken behind closed doors. I saw every hidden betrayal. I saw every moment they laughed at your weakness, every time they doubted your future, every time they assumed your tears meant defeat. Yet none of it stopped the plan I wrote for your life before you were born. My beloved, I need you to understand something tonight. The enemy attacked you so fiercely because there is something valuable inside you. Darkness does not fight empty vessels. Hell does not waste energy on people with no purpose. The pressure you survived was proof that heaven placed greatness within you long ago. And now the season is changing. The hidden warfare around your destiny is being exposed. The chains are breaking. The silence is ending. A weight that sat on your chest for so long is finally lifting. You kept asking me why everything became so quiet. You wondered why the people you love suddenly became distant. You questioned why your prayers seemed unanswered. You looked around and saw others moving ahead while you remained stuck in a painful waiting season. But my child, I was never absent from your life. I was moving pieces into place that your human eyes could not yet understand. There were rooms I entered before you arrived. There were conversations I interrupted before they could damage your future. There were attacks I blocked while you slept at night. I silenced voices that spoke against your name. I closed the mouths of those who wanted to destroy your confidence. I redirected paths that would have led you into heartbreak, manipulation, and destruction. You saw disappointment, but I saw danger. You saw rejection, but I saw protection. You saw delay, but I saw divine timing. Tonight I am pulling back the curtain so you can finally understand why nothing managed to destroy you. The fact that you survived everything that came against you is not luck. It is evidence that my hand has been carrying you from the very beginning. Someone worked hard to close doors in your life, but they forgot who walks before you. I've already entered the room before your enemies arrived. I stood before every obstacle. I went ahead of every attack. I was already fighting for you while you were still crying over what you lost. My beloved child, there were moments when you almost gave up completely. There were nights when exhaustion wrapped around your spirit and you felt too tired to continue believing. You smiled in front of people while secretly breaking inside. You kept carrying responsibilities while silently asking me how much longer you could survive this pressure. But even then, I never left you alone. I was strengthening you in ways you could not feel. I was teaching your spirit how to survive storms that would have destroyed the old version of you. The tears you cried were not wasted. The loneliness was not meaningless. A silence was not punishment. I was preparing you for a level of favor that requires strength, wisdom, and spiritual maturity. I could not allow you to step into your next season carrying the same dependence on people who repeatedly wounded your spirit. So I allowed separation. I allowed silence. I allowed hidden battles because I was transforming you into someone stronger than your pain. Say, I rest deeply in your promises if you're clinging to every word he has spoken. Tonight is not ordinary. The season of crying in silence is ending forever. What I reveal to you now will shock everyone who doubted you. The same people who assumed your story was over will witness me restoring everything they thought was lost. I am about to bring light into places that remained hidden for years. What was buried in darkness will no longer stay hidden. I am exposing lies. I am revealing truth. I am lifting the weight of false accusations and hidden manipulation from your life. My child, I know how deeply betrayal wounded your heart. I know there were moments you questioned your own value because of how others treated you. But hear me clearly now. Their rejection never defined your identity. Their opinions never had authority over your destiny. I called you chosen long before they called you forgotten. I called you loved long before they made you feel unwanted. I called you worthy long before they tried to convince you that you were not enough. And now heaven is responding to every tear you shed in secret. I am restoring confidence where fear once lived. I am restoring peace where anxiety once ruled. I am restoring strength where exhaustion almost consumed you. My beloved child, they underestimated the favor resting on your life. They thought isolation would weaken you, but I used it to prepare your elevation. The hidden season you hated was actually sacred preparation. While others were distracted by noise, popularity, and appearances, I was developing depth inside your spirit. I was teaching you how to hear my voice without depending on human validation. I was teaching you how to survive disappointment without losing your faith. I was teaching you how to walk through darkness while still believing in my promises. You thought you were buried, but you were planted. Seeds disappear into darkness before they rise into purpose. And now your season of rising has begun. The waiting season is breaking. The overlooked season is ending. The season where people ignored your value is permanently closing tonight. I am pulling you into the light, and nobody will be able to stop what I have already declared over your future. Do not skip this moment, my child. The breakthrough attached to these words was released in heaven before you even found this message. There is a reason your spirit feels this deeply. There is a reason tears are filling your eyes while you listen. It is because your soul recognizes my voice calling you into a new chapter. You are not crazy for believing that something is shifting. You are not weak for feeling emotional right now. This is the moment where heaviness begins leaving your spirit. This is the moment where confusion starts breaking apart. This is the moment where hope returns after such a long season of disappointment. I am restoring what fear tried to steal from you. I am rebuilding what betrayal tried to destroy inside your heart. And most importantly, I am reminding you who you truly are. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not invisible. You are mine. And no darkness, no betrayal, no delay, and no opposition can cancel what heaven already decided about your life before the foundation of the world. My beloved child, stop what you are doing and listen to me carefully, because this moment is not an accident. Before this message found you, heaven had already decided that tonight would become a turning point in your life. I did not allow these words to reach your eyes by coincidence. I guided you here intentionally because there are things hidden from you for years that I am now preparing to expose in full light. Stay with me now. Do not scroll away. Do not allow distraction to steal what I am about to place into your spirit. There is a reason your heart feels restless while listening to this. There is a reason your soul suddenly feels alert. It is because my presence is surrounding you even now, and I am speaking directly into the deepest wounded places inside you that nobody else truly understands. My child, you have cried silently for so long. You carried burdens you never spoke about openly. You smiled around people while secretly fighting exhaustion, disappointment, confusion, and emotional pain that almost broke your spirit. But tonight I am interrupting your sadness with truth. I am interrupting your fear with revelation. I am interrupting your isolation with my voice. And before this message ends, you will understand why nothing managed to destroy you even after everything that came against your life. Please support our channel. Our work is to bring happiness in your life and devotion to God. And if you want, you can donate to us, given link in description or pinned comment to show your support. Do not skip these words, because this is not just another message. This is divine timing. This is a spiritual interruption sent directly from heaven into your current season. The enemy worked tirelessly to keep you from hearing this. Dark voices tried to bury your confidence. They tried to convince you that you were forgotten, abandoned, delayed, and permanently overlooked. Some people secretly celebrated your struggles because they believed your suffering would become your ending. They watched your silence and assumed I had left you behind. They watched your tears and thought your future had collapsed. But they were wrong. Completely wrong. My child, while they underestimated you, they also underestimated me. They did not know I was standing beside you in every painful moment. They did not know I was preserving your mind during nights when anxiety tried to consume you. They did not know I was protecting your future while unseen battles surrounded your destiny. Even when you felt weak, even when you questioned your purpose, even when you thought your prayers were disappearing into silence, I was still moving heaven and earth on your behalf. I was already fighting for you while you were still trying to survive the weight pressing against your spirit. Listen closely now, because what I reveal tonight will change the way you understand your entire journey. You kept asking why everything became so quiet around you. You wondered why doors suddenly closed. You questioned why certain people walked away without explanation. You asked me why life became so heavy when all you wanted was peace. But my beloved child, there were hidden battles taking place around your future that your human eyes could not see. There were voices speaking against your name behind closed doors. There were people smiling in front of you while secretly hoping your progress would stop. There were spiritual attacks assigned against your confidence, your purpose, your peace, and your destiny. But hear me clearly tonight. None of it escaped my sight. I saw every betrayal before it happened. I heard every word whispered against you in secret. I watched every hidden scheme designed to discourage your spirit. And before those attacks could fully reach you, I stepped in. I blocked what you never saw. I silenced what would have destroyed your peace. I closed doors that looked promising because danger was hiding behind them. You called it disappointment, but I called it protection. You called it delay, but I called it preservation. You called it rejection, but I was actually redirecting your life away from destruction you never knew existed. My child, heaven urgently pushed this message toward you because your season is changing tonight. The chapter of constantly feeling overlooked is ending. The season where your tears remained hidden is closing forever. I know there were moments when you felt invisible. Moments when you questioned if your life truly mattered. Moments when you wondered why others seemed celebrated while you remained forgotten in silence. But I need you to understand something with all your heart tonight. I never overlooked you for a single second. While others ignored your value, I was preparing your elevation. While others doubted your future, I was building your strength in hidden places. Isolation was never meant to destroy you. It was preparing you. The silence was not abandonment. It was sacred preparation. I pulled you away from certain people because they could not go where I am taking you next. I allowed uncomfortable separation because your spirit could not continue growing in environments filled with hidden jealousy, manipulation, and emotional confusion. You thought you were losing people, but I was actually protecting your destiny from hands that secretly wanted control over your future. Tonight is not ordinary, my beloved child. Something massive is shifting in the unseen realm around your life right now. You can feel it deep inside your spirit even if you cannot fully explain it yet. The heaviness that followed you for so long is beginning to break. The confusion is beginning to clear. The emotional chains that wrapped around your mind are losing their power tonight. I am exposing darkness with my light. What was hidden is being revealed. What was stolen is being restored. What was delayed is beginning to move again. The enemy wanted you exhausted because he feared what would happen if you ever fully realized who you are in me. He wanted you distracted by pain so you would forget the authority resting over your life. But tonight I am waking your spirit up again. Tonight I am reminding you that your story did not end in failure. Your story did not end in heartbreak. Your story did not end in disappointment. The reason you survived every attack is because my hand never left you. I preserved you when your strength disappeared. I carried you when your heart became tired. I protected your purpose when darkness tried to bury it beneath fear and emotional exhaustion. Do not leave this message unfinished, my child, because the breakthrough attached to these words was prepared long before this moment arrived. I know there is a part of you that still struggles to believe something good can finally happen for you. After everything you endured, disappointment trained your heart to expect more pain. You became cautious with hope because too many things collapsed unexpectedly in your life. But tonight I am healing the broken expectation inside you. I am restoring your ability to believe again. I am reminding your soul that I still have plans for your future. This is why the enemy fought so hard to keep you emotionally drained. He knew what was coming. He knew heaven was preparing a reversal that would shock everyone who doubted you. He knew I was about to expose what was hidden and restore what was damaged. He knew your season of crying in silence was almost over. And now the truth can no longer stay buried. My beloved child, before this message ends, I need you to hear me with complete clarity. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not invisible to heaven. Every tear you cried was seen by me. Every silent prayer reached me. Every sleepless night was witnessed by my presence standing beside you. Even when nobody checked on you, I stayed close. Even when your heart broke in silence, I listened. Even when your faith became weak, I continued fighting for your future. And now I am calling you into a new season. A season where hidden things come into the light. A season where your voice returns. A season where peace replaces fear. A season where confidence rises again inside your spirit. A season where doors begin opening that nobody can shut. Stay with me now. Do not turn away from this moment. Because what begins tonight will become the evidence that I was with you all along. My beloved child, I need you to quiet every distraction around you right now and listen closely, because what I am about to reveal is something you have carried in your spirit for a very long time without fully understanding it. You kept asking yourself why certain people suddenly changed toward you. You wondered why some relationships began to feel heavy, uncomfortable, and confusing even when you were trying your best to keep peace. You questioned why environments that once felt safe slowly became places where your spirit felt drained, anxious, and unseen. There were moments when you blamed yourself for everything. You replayed conversations in your mind wondering if you said the wrong thing, if you trusted too much, if your kindness somehow became your weakness. But my child, tonight I need you to hear the truth clearly. I saw everything they did in secret. Nothing escaped my eyes. Not one hidden conversation. Not one silent betrayal. Not one jealous thought whispered behind your back. Not one tear that rolled down your face after people smiled in front of you and wounded you behind closed doors. I saw all of it, even when you were too exhausted to understand what was happening around you. There were people who celebrated your pain in silence while pretending to support your journey publicly. They smiled at your face while secretly hoping your progress would stop. They listened to your dreams while quietly doubting your future. Some even pretended to pray for you while carrying hidden envy inside their hearts. You felt the shift but could not explain it. You noticed the coldness. You sensed the distance. You felt something changing around you spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, but because your heart was pure, you kept trying to see the good in everyone. My beloved child, your kindness made you ignore warning signs for too long. Your love made you excuse behavior that wounded your spirit repeatedly. But heaven saw what your human eyes could not fully understand. There were spiritual attacks assigned against your peace, There were people being influenced by darkness to discourage you, delay you, distract you, and emotionally drain you before your breakthrough arrived. The enemy understood your value long before you fully recognized it yourself. That is why the attacks became so personal. That is why the betrayal hurt so deeply. Darkness often hides behind familiar faces because pain cuts deeper when it comes from people you trusted. I saw every moment when manipulation surrounded your life. I saw the way certain people twisted your words to make you question yourself. I saw how they slowly chipped away at your confidence while pretending to care about you. I saw how some individuals enjoyed watching you struggle emotionally because your pain made them feel more powerful. They did not want you healed because your healing would expose their behavior. They did not want you confident because your confidence would reveal their insecurity. My child, there were even moments when gossip surrounded your name without your knowledge. Conversations took place in rooms you never entered. Lies were spoken by people who never truly understood your heart. Some smiled with you during the day and criticized you in secret at night. Some acted loyal publicly while privately hoping your opportunities would disappear. But hear me clearly tonight, not one word spoken against you escaped Kevin's attention. Every hidden motive was seen. Every act of silent sabotage was witnessed. Every jealous spirit operating behind the scenes was exposed before my eyes long before you ever realized what was happening. My beloved child, I know how lonely this season became for you. I know there were nights when confusion sat heavily on your chest and you could not understand why your spirit suddenly felt so tired around certain people. You kept trying to fix relationships that were already poisoned by hidden envy and spiritual darkness. You blamed yourself for disconnections I was actually allowing for your protection. You cried quietly because you could not explain your pain to anyone without sounding dramatic or misunderstood. Some wounds were so deep you stopped talking about them altogether. You learned how to smile while carrying heartbreak privately. You learned how to continue functioning while emotionally exhausted inside. You became skilled at hiding your sadness because too many people failed to understand your sensitivity. But my child, every tear you cried was witnessed by me. Every sleepless night where anxiety kept your mind racing was seen by heaven. Every time you stared at the ceiling asking why people suddenly changed toward you, I was there beside you listening carefully to every silent prayer your exhausted spirit released. I saw the nights you cried yourself to sleep after pretending all day that you were fine. I saw the moments you checked your phone hoping someone would finally care enough to ask if you were okay. I saw how disappointment slowly exhausted your heart. I saw how rejection made you question your worth. I saw how emotional betrayal made you become quieter, more cautious, and more guarded with your love. My child, you were carrying pain nobody fully understood. People saw your silence but did not recognize the battle happening inside your mind. They saw your distance but did not realize how deeply wounded your spirit had become. Some even called you difficult simply because you became tired of constantly surviving emotional attacks while pretending everything was normal. But I understood your exhaustion completely. I understood the heaviness you carried behind your smile. I understood why your energy disappeared. I understood why your trust became fragile. And through every moment of loneliness, I stayed beside you even when you could not feel my presence clearly. There were times when you thought I was silent while all this was happening. You wondered why I allowed betrayal to touch your life. You questioned why I did not immediately expose those who secretly wounded you. But my beloved child, heaven was collecting evidence while you suffered silently. Nothing was ignored. Nothing was forgotten. Every hidden action was being recorded before me. Every manipulative word, every jealous motive, every false smile, every attempt to spiritually sabotage your future was seen clearly in heaven long before the truth reached your understanding. You thought nobody noticed your suffering, but heaven watched every detail carefully. I was not absent. I was observing. I was protecting. I was preparing the moment when truth would finally rise into the light. Some people believed they could secretly damage your confidence without consequences. Some believed they could speak against your destiny while hiding behind false kindness. But darkness cannot remain hidden forever in the presence of my light. What was whispered in secret eventually reaches exposure. What was hidden beneath masks eventually becomes visible. My child, the reason these attacks affected you so deeply is because your heart was genuine. You loved sincerely. You trusted deeply. You gave chances repeatedly even after being hurt. And because your spirit carried purity, manipulation confused you. Betrayal shocked you. Hidden opposition wounded you more than you expected because you could not imagine treating others with the same cruelty they showed toward you. But do not mistake your softness for weakness. Your ability to love despite pain is not failure. It is proof that darkness did not completely harden your heart. And even though this season exhausted you emotionally, I was using every painful experience to sharpen your discernment. I was teaching your spirit how to recognize hidden motives without losing your compassion. I was teaching you how to protect your peace without becoming bitter. I was teaching you that not every smiling face carries pure intentions. Some people entered your life carrying hidden agendas tied to jealousy, control, competition, and insecurity. But I was already preparing your separation before their attacks could fully destroy your confidence. My beloved child, I need you to stop blaming yourself for everything that happened. You did not imagine the strange tension you felt. You were not overreacting to the shifts happening around you. Your spirit was sensing battles your mind could not yet explain. Heaven allowed you to feel discomfort because I was warning you that certain people could not be trusted with full access to your heart anymore. And although the separation hurt deeply, it was necessary for where I am taking you next. Some people were becoming obstacles to your peace without even realizing it themselves. Some relationships carried emotional darkness that would have delayed your healing, your confidence, and your destiny if I allowed them to continue unchanged. Comment, you are my guiding light, Jesus, if He led you out of the darkest night. Tonight, I want you to release the burden of trying to understand why everyone acted the way they did. Some betrayals were never about you personally. Some people attacked your spirit simply because your light exposed their inner darkness. Some became uncomfortable around your presence because heaven's favor resting on your life reminded them of what they lacked within themselves. But hear me clearly now, my child. None of their hidden actions canceled the plan I have for you. None of their gossip stopped your destiny. None of their silent sabotage removed my hand from your future. And even while you were crying quietly in confusion, heaven was already preparing restoration, exposure, and justice for every hidden wound you carried alone. My beloved child, I know there were many moments when you questioned my silence. You prayed with tears in your eyes, with faith trembling inside your chest, asking me why nothing seemed to move. You cried out for answers while days turned into months and months turned into seasons that felt endless. You watched doors remain closed. You watched opportunities disappear. You watched people walk away while heaven appeared quiet. And deep inside your heart, you began wondering if I still heard you at all. There were nights when disappointment wrapped itself around your spirit so heavily that even praying became exhausting. You repeated the same questions over and over again. Lord, where are you? Why is this taking so long? Why does it feel like everyone else is moving forward while I remain stuck in the same painful place? My child, I heard every one of those prayers. Not one cry escaped my attention. Not one tear disappeared unnoticed. But tonight I need you to understand something that will finally bring peace to the confusion you carried for so long. My silence was never abandonment. It was preparation. You thought I had stepped away from your life because the answers did not come immediately. But if only you could see the hidden battles taking place behind closed doors during those silent seasons, you would understand why I could not allow certain things to happen too quickly. There were spiritual attacks surrounding your destiny that your human eyes could not see. Darkness was studying your weaknesses, searching for openings, attempting to distract you before your breakthrough arrived. Some delays were not punishments. They were protection. Some closed doors were not rejection. They were rescue. Some relationships that collapsed were not losses. They were removals necessary for your survival. My beloved child, had I answered certain prayers too early, you would have walked directly into traps disguised as blessings. You would have trusted people who secretly carried jealousy toward your future. You would have entered situations that looked exciting at first but would have slowly drained your peace, your confidence, and your spirit. So I delayed certain things because I was protecting you from destruction hidden behind appearances. I know the waiting frustrated you. I know the silence hurt deeply because you wanted clarity while all you could see was uncertainty. But while you were asking me why nothing was happening, I was already fighting battles you never knew existed. There were conversations happening in secret about you. There were spiritual attacks sent against your mind. There were unseen forces trying to weaken your faith through exhaustion, confusion, disappointment, and emotional heaviness. The enemy wanted you to believe I abandoned you because he understood that hopelessness weakens the spirit. He wanted your trust to collapse before your breakthrough arrived. But I refused to let darkness destroy what heaven already declared over your life. That is why I kept you hidden for a season. That is why some plans suddenly failed. That is why some opportunities disappeared without explanation. Delay prevented destruction. Silence prevented disaster. Isolation prevented deeper wounds you were not prepared to survive. My child, there were moments when you almost walked into situations that would have broken you completely if I had not intervened quietly behind the scenes. You called some of those moments disappointment, but heaven called them deliverance. You mourned over things that ended, not realizing I was removing hidden danger from your path. There were people who appeared supportive while secretly carrying harmful intentions toward your future. There were places you desperately wanted access to that would have damaged your spirit slowly over time. There were relationships you begged me to preserve that would have eventually destroyed your peace from within. But because you could not yet see clearly, my protection often felt painful. My silence often felt confusing. My delays often felt cruel. Yet through every unanswered prayer, I was still guiding you away from unseen traps your heart was too vulnerable to recognize. I need you to hear this clearly tonight, my beloved child. Isolation was never your punishment. You were not abandoned because you failed me. You were not forgotten because you were unworthy. The hidden season you walked through was necessary preparation for the next chapter of your life. I pulled you away from certain environments because too much noise was surrounding your spirit. You were carrying the opinions of too many people. You were constantly trying to keep peace while silently losing yourself emotionally. So I allowed separation because your spirit needed healing. I allowed silence because your soul needed cleansing. I allowed loneliness because I needed your attention away from distractions long enough for me to rebuild your inner strength. Gold is not refined in comfort. Gold is purified through fire. And my beloved child, the fire you walked through was refining you, not destroying you. I know it did not feel beautiful while you were inside the process. Refining never feels gentle in the moment. There were days when exhaustion sat so heavily on your heart that even small tasks felt overwhelming. There were nights when loneliness became so loud you questioned whether anyone truly understood your pain. You watched other people celebrate while you quietly survived. You smiled publicly while privately carrying disappointment, confusion, and emotional fatigue that almost consumed your spirit. But every painful season was removing something from you that could not follow you into your future. I was burning away dependence on unhealthy validation. I was burning away fear of rejection. I was burning away emotional attachments that kept delaying your growth. I was strengthening parts of you that comfort could never develop. Endurance was being built inside your spirit. Discernment was growing quietly within you. Wisdom was forming through experiences that once felt meaningless. You kept asking me for immediate answers, but I was more focused on preparing your spirit than simply satisfying your emotions. If I had rushed the process, you would have entered your next season emotionally fragile, spiritually distracted, and easily manipulated by people carrying hidden motives. But now you are beginning to see differently. You notice things your old self ignored. You recognize energy your old self tolerated. You feel spiritual discomfort around environments that once seemed normal to you. This is not weakness. This is discernment being born through experience. The pain taught you what peace truly feels like. The betrayal taught you what genuine loyalty looks like. The silence taught you how to hear my voice more clearly without depending entirely on human reassurance. Everything you survived was building spiritual maturity inside you. Type "I trust" even in your silence, Lord, if you're waiting for unseen answers. And share this video.